Yo, what's good, guys? It's CHRONOSONDER, and today I'm going to show you how to make a bouncy piano type house beat, however you guys want to call it. The first thing I started with when making my song Ecstasy was I found this really nice piano off Splice, and that pretty much carried the drop as well. I made a very simple melody like this, and I added these notes at the top here to give it more of like a punch, kind of like a brighter, sound at the top, because I thought it was lacking at the, in the lower frequencies. I'm going to show you guys the difference right now. See how it's kind of flat? I know it's a very minuscule difference, but it makes a big difference when it comes, to the larger scale things. Kind of gives you that punch. And if it's too loud, you can lower the velocity. It doesn't have to, be crazy. You don't have to add an entire new note to make it a chord, because it's already a chord, as it comes. But it doesn't have to be too loud, just kind of to give it that punch, give it an effect that's like, kind of stabby and more high-endy. Now, because it's too flat for me personally, I added this bottom layer that doesn't stick out too far, too much. Kind of gives it that, softer tone in the bottom. It's a very pretty sound. So I copied the same melody and just put it under it and played together. It sounds like this. Kind of gives it more bounce, right? And that's pretty much all you need. All you really need now is a bass line and some drums. So I'm going to show you what I did with the bass line. Let me go ahead and mute this. Now, I made this sound on Serum 1. Serum 2 wasn't out at that time. But yeah, so on Serum 1, I made this sound. It's a very simple bass called a rubber bounce bass. Follows the same notes and kind of gives you more of a punch. You do need bass, obviously. And then on top of that, all you really need is a kick, hi-hats, and a clap. And you pretty much have a track. All you really need now are effects to give you more atmosphere. Kind of added these lasers here. A little bit of an atmospheric effect. And then this, which you barely hear, just kind of this side chaining white noise, at the front to give it more of like a smoke machines are going off in your face or what have you. So that's pretty much all it is for the drop, to be honest. Now, I do have vocals on the front here. That sounds really pretty. And this pad as well that I found off Splice. It doesn't take too much for me to get inspired, honestly. I think I started with this pad. See if I can mute it, or see if I can solo it. It's very, very pretty in my opinion. I did add some EQ and a low pass to kind of give it, more of a not in your face feel like the song's starting. But obviously, there's no rules in music. You can, do as you please. If it sounds good to you, it sounds good to you. Now, I did go to an extreme, obviously. I added a fuck ton of shit to a very simple, drop, if you will. Because that's pretty much a drop. But, yeah, I mean, anybody can get inspired in any way. But, yeah, so I think I started with putting these vocals here at the drop. And it sounded pretty good, but I didn't want to take away from the melody. You know what I mean? I don't want to distract people from the bounce. So I put the vocals in the front and then put the pad that inspired me to make this at the front as well. And then obviously I have some drums there. And as the song continues, I wanted to introduce the piano in a bright way. So I kind of swept up the EQ from here and added this little vocal here. It's really, really pretty actually. Kind of gives you that, okay, it's starting, it's starting up. And then as it progresses, you kind of lower some levels. And it drops. So yeah, I mean, everything in music is more of like a, build your own with your tools. So if you have all these effects at your disposal, you can use them. But what I really wanted to do for the break was make it kind of special. So I really wanted to, write something on my own and kind of leave the monotony and the basic sound of that bouncy piano that I'm trying to show you guys, and put it aside for a second and write something pretty. So for the break, I kind of lowered all the levels here, added some reverb, and then reversed the vocal at the beginning to introduce it for, it's kind of like a new section, kind of, like a cutaway, like a Family Guy cutaway, like it's like a story kind of coming up. Kind of added some reverb here, and I let the sample play. If you notice at the beginning, I kind of chopped it up and didn't give away too much about what she was saying or what she was telling. Kind of chopped it up and made it short and sweet, bouncy. But here I really wanted to let it out and let her sing and do her thing. So Towards the end, she says the word ecstasy, which is what I named the entire song after because it sounds really pretty with what I wrote. So I'm going to play it out. I'm going to stop edging you guys. I'm going to play it. Super pretty, and I thought I wrote it pretty well. You know what's so funny? I had to come back and rewrite it about like 4 different times because the melody just was not doing it for me. But yeah, I made this sound on Splice. It's called Color Applesauce. Don't ask me why it's called Color Applesauce, but it is. Yeah, this is what I made right here. I think I made this one a while ago, and then I decided to reintroduce it. But yeah, I did this, and I think this is a bass line, I believe. I don't remember. Yeah, so it's just the same bass line from the drop, kind of, you know, toppled under what you hear, the main synth. You know, as far as automation goes, to keep the continuation going, I just added, you know, some automations for volume, some of the release on the reverb, some volume shit here, you know, just just making it, dude. Honestly, like if you have it in your mind, there's something on FL Studio for you to tinker with and mess with. Again, I'm not a music theorist. I'm not Steve Duda. I can't, you know, tell you the ins and outs of MIDI and all this, you know, scientific crap. There's no rules to music. So if you love music and you want to make music, it shouldn't be too difficult to, you know, to get started. But as this fades away, I reintroduce the piano, but in a lighter way to differentiate it from the first drop. Just kind of bring it in slowly, and then I slam you with it. And then I just let the drop play. The only difference between the drums from the first drop and the second drop is that I just moved the rides that took place on this second half, and I put them in the front just to give it more of like a in your face, this is a second drop type thing. Now these vocals here, that's the way the house is yours truly, is myself. You can obviously do that. I highly recommend that you do that. Implement your own voice and your own, you know, DNA into your own song to differentiate you. And these I actually added out of necessity because I really couldn't find anything off Splice that would give you that, you know, that's the way the house, that, you know, pre-drop vocal or like these effects, you know, here and there. So I decided to throw them in myself. That's the way the house moves. Because why not? And yeah, and I just wrap up the end of the song by removing that bottom layer from the main melody. The house moves. Close out the song like that, and that's pretty much all it is to it, honestly. It doesn't take too much. All you really need to do is, you know, love music and understand, you know, how house music works. And if you can find a really nice, you know, piano stab, or you can make one your own, or, you know, any other effect, you can make it really bouncy. One of the really important things about making a bouncy song is sidechain, right? So at the time, I did not have Kickstart 2, but at the time, I did have Kickstart 1, which is very simple. All you really had to do is just, I'm going to bring this mixer over. All you really had to do is enable it. So I'm going to go here into slot 1, find it. I have Kickstart 2 here, but at the time it was Kickstart 1. And it's very simple. It's going to sidechain on every note that you choose. Why is it not showing? There it is. It's going to play on every quarter note, every eighth note, every note, or bar, excuse me. And it'll do it for you. Kickstart 2 is a little different. Maybe I'll make a different video touching on Kickstart 2, which I absolutely love because it works on MIDI as well. So you can route it to a kick, and every time that kick plays, it'll duck it for you. And no matter where it is on the track, it'll duck it. It does not have to be quantized, and it's fantastic. I love it. But yeah, that's pretty much how you make a bouncy piano track. It's, you know, fairly simple, but obviously took it to an extreme with a bunch of different effects and automations. And I recommend you guys do that too. You know, go crazy. There's no rules in music. It's just, you know, your imagination. And really the only thing that's limiting you is your knowledge on the DAW and on music and on instruments. So go crazy, you know, learn more things. That's all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys want to leave comments and questions, I'd be happy to answer them. You can listen to Ecstasy on all stores. The link will be in my description. But yeah, thank you guys so much. If you guys want to subscribe, I really appreciate it, and have a nice day.